Now, because we do want to be able to use this shed in the harsh Australian summer conditions in particular, we're going to put in two types of insulation. One is a foil lining insulation and the other is to use more traditional rock wool fiberglass insulation. What I've gone and done just today is I've headed down to the hardware store and I've picked up this particular brand here. It is a foil which is mounted on a plastic mesh which has been heat fused and then flattened down to form a film. We'll be needing some of this foil tape here to join up the foil. And so the intention is first to line the shed with this foil and then come along and install the fluffy type of insulation afterwards. So that's the next task. Okay, you've got to remember, never done this before. Gonna guess, gonna have a play, see how it works. Installation guide on the product. It's telling me how to put it on a metal roof. I've got to put it on the walls. Got to read a few more instructions. I got a first sheet up. I'm not sure about it. I'm not sure if it's the best way of going about it. But I've put the foil on the outside. Often when they're installing it within buildings, I've read that you install it with the colour side out because otherwise it creates too much glare for the builders and the drivers as they drive past the construction site. But since I'm already doing this inside, that's not relevant. And what I want to do is try and reflect out the heat away from the building. To do that, I also needed to be able to create a gap of air between. And so hopefully I can maintain this gap once I put in the wool insulation, because otherwise the foil will touch the metal and it'll just form a pretty similar structure and conduct the heat through. So we need that air gap. I may yet find a different way of hanging the fabric. I was thinking about hanging it horizontally across so that I can get it in between and behind. I'll have a look at that when I get onto the next sheet. I put this one up like this because I had already cut it. Okay, I was getting a little bit nervous about whether or not I'd be able to fit in some bats on the walls. So bats come in a number of sizes, but for wall bats, they're typically around about 90 mil. Now, if I was to use a 90 mil piece of wood, then I'd have the width that I need. However, I was thinking because essentially I've got a structure, I don't need to build out of a lot of timber. I was hoping to get away with a narrower piece. So this piece of wood here is 70, and so therefore I've just done a quick measure, and even pressed up against the wall like so, I definitely have enough room for even a 90 mil bat to fit in the space because of that extra little bit of give that I gave it down here. So let's keep going. Hey, back in the shed again for the weekend, and yeah, continuing at the point where we're putting up some sarking. I put up a couple of sheets there, and now rather than continuing on the walls, I want to take it across the roof span up through there and see how that goes. I've had a couple of things that I've been upgraded. I have one of these now, courtesy of neighbour Jeff next door. It's a compressor, air pressure based staple gun, using staples around about this size. I'll probably get some 8mm rather than 10mm. 8mm goes into the hardwood well enough. So that uses a compressor, and so the compressor is running out there, which will probably kick in every now and again, potentially even while I'm talking. There's two things that I've done in preparation for hanging the sarking across the roof. One of them is to get a set of these. These are some neodymium strong disc magnets. I was trying to get ones that had them on a little strip, so I could just peel them on and off. But I'll use these to help just control the sarking as I roll it out across the roof and pin it up there with the magnets. So that's what I plan to do today. I'll also put a few little bits and tips on what I'm doing as I'm trying to do it. One of the ideas that I've got is to run a extender pole which goes across the roof there, and that way I can take the sarking up and drape it over that. So therefore, as well as using the magnets, that will also help me pin it to the roof. Wish me luck. Also, just checking out a couple of things that I had done the previous week. One of them was to use the black rubber spray across the silicone that I've used to seal around the edge of the shed. It's created a really nice skin over everything, and potentially has filled in quite a lot of the cracks. The thing to note is that this skin here is actually separate now from the silicone. And I think one or two things has probably happened there. One is that as both of them have set, they've shrunk away from each other. Also, the other consideration is that I could have put some sort of primer, I think, on top of the silicone, and that may well have helped the rubber stick to the silicone a little bit better and maintain a little bit better seal. But either way, the objective is probably adequate, and that is to fill in all of the little cracks I may have missed with the silicone around with the black rubber. I don't think it's so important that the black rubber spray remains adhered to the silicone. But interesting note.